What's up, fellas? So I'm out here sweating my sack off. It is HOTT, but I'm making progress. So what I did on the K member, I torqued the bolts down. I had to put some spacers here, some washers to make sure that the shank of the bolt was right in here instead of on the threads. Just a little pet peeve of mine. So I torqued them to 65 foot-pounds. Put a little witness mark on there so I can just look at it, make sure it hadn't moved, instead of trying to go and put a wrench on it. And it's still moves fine. It's a little, not real snug, but with the weight of the car on there, it'll move pretty good. Same over here. I took because the bolt was longer, so the shank would be in here to the end. I cut extra off. There was like Air Force gives us all kind of direction in technical manuals about hardware, and one of them is that you got to have 3 threads sticking past the end of a lock nut, even though it don't always happen. So I figured if 3 threads is good for them, it's good for me. You know, even though it's an airplane, it'll still work. So I cut off probably 5 threads. It ended up being a whole 2.3 ounces for what I cut off. It's pretty impressive, right? Next up to hack on is the hood hinges. One thing to keep in mind when you're doing weight reduction stuff, this kind of buffoonery, all the parts were designed to hold a certain weight. Like these hood hinges were designed to hold up a factory steel hood, because I've got a little Bobo fiberglass hood. I can probably cut some of this off, like that part there. You know, that part I can probably get rid of this, because right up on this part it's going to be bolted to the hood, so I don't need to have all that extra stuff on there. So moving on here, you can see I did make some progress. I painted it Wednesday night. Got all this done in here. The door jamb, and I screwed up. I should have gone up into here with the color, and I didn't, so I've got to get more paint anyway. I put clear over here on the ends or the sides, and kind of hazed it in here in the middle. So that part is up there is done. I can start putting all these things back in. I got to get more paint and do the back part in here. I didn't get it real good because I was using a high volume low pressure gun, and it wouldn't let me get in some spots, especially on the bottom. Lance was gracious enough to let me borrow his. I think it's maybe a Harbor Freight, but as long as it works, I can get into some of these little tight spots better, I think. And I painted, you know, the front of this and the back here so I can get all this done. The trunk, I want to put another coat in there of color before I clear it, just to make sure I get it good. I did some of the bottom, but not all of it, because like I said, that HVLP gun just wasn't, the canister, you know, the cup being on the top, it wouldn't let me get in a lot of places. So I got to reattack it with the other gun. But I mean, it turned out fairly decent. It's pretty smooth. You can tell an amateur did it in his garage. There's a couple other places I want to hit again, like in here. It's just, I think it's probably, if you're going to do something like this, it helps to either be an expert at it or at least have some experience under your belt. This is kind of a practice for me for the Dugan, so hopefully the Dugan will turn out better. But it's not bad. I still haven't decided if I'm gonna do the outside myself or have Herbie do it. We'll figure it out when we get to that point. See how things are shaking then, and see if my confidence has got built up any higher. So that's essentially it for now. Like I said, I'm just taking stuff out of the buckets and putting stuff in here that I can use. Try to get it back together somewhat. First things first, to get the line lock mounted and the manual brake conversion done, and then I can start stringing the rest of the stuff in here and get the engine done, or the engine The engine's done. I got to get the headers. I got to finish them up before I put them on. I'm going to put them on the engine before I put it in the car. And then maybe get that over the engine bay and then push the motor K-member. There we go. Get that up in here. So anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up. Next weekend I should have a little more updates on this. Should have the bottom painted and get the start putting rear end and all that other fuel lines, gas tank, blah 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 blah. All right, appreciate y'all. Later on. Oh, I forgot to mention, went over to Pascagoula yesterday, on the other side of Pascagoula actually, to Gautier. Picked up these wheels from Ray Coulter's widow. They've been in the garage for a while. She said he had bought them and never run them on the car, so I bought them. I gave her $300 for the pair. I probably won't even use the tires because I think they're kind of old, but you know, the new ones are $360 each, and you know, they're not new, but I wanted to help her out, so that's why I did it. Plus, you know, we got to go, took the bride over there with me and went to Costco, checked it out. So he's got a big block Chevy. I'm trying to get all the details of it so I can try to help her sell it. I'm sure it's got good stuff in it. That's kind of the way Ray was. But once I get that information, I'll pass it along. So hopefully can try to get it sold for her. All right, appreciate y'all. Later.